Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, thank you for allowing me to testify. My name is Chuck Cohen, and I'm a captain with the Indiana State Police. I also serve as the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force Commander. I would not be here today if it were not for encountering serious problems associated with encryption that do not have easy technological fixes. We need your help. It is increasingly apparent that that help must be legislative.
There's an increase of people targeting and victimizing children on the internet.
The number of photos showing child sex abuse online is now increasing.
While the crime is up, the grant funding is not.
Police departments often turn to a statewide specialized team of detectives, part of the Crimes Against Children unit. The team investigates crimes like child porn, to extortion, to solicitation.
Actually have a task force assigned to this problem known as ICAC.
Indiana ICAC Commander Captain Chuck Cohen reports that they got more than 2,000 cyber tips last year.
Unfortunately, there will always be those that want to prey on children.
Investigators on the Computer Crimes Against Children Task Force say they are in dire need of funding. Senator Michael Crider has proposed a funding bill in the State House proposing a $2 million fund for the task force.
The units have depended on grant money from the Department of Justice.
Right now, they get about $300,000 total. It's mostly from grants, and state police pick up the rest. And that money isn't just for training, it's for the equipment and software to investigate the crimes.
So you've heard about the ICAC task force, the Indiana Crimes Against Children task force. Our job is simple. It's to rescue kids and to catch monsters. In the first 27 days of this year, we received 37 new cases.
There are over 30 agencies wanting to join the fight with us. They simply cannot afford it. Our caseload is increasing, but our funding is decreasing. So I just ask you today to please support our Bill 230 and help us protect our Indiana families.
I've taken way more time than I promised you I would take. Obviously, serious issue. I appreciate your support.
I understand the appropriation of $2 million, and I understand what it's trying to do, but these folks in our world are going to need an ongoing funding source. This problem's not going away. It's gotten worse. Right. So we're going to need an ongoing funding source, in my view, of how are we going to give you the resources to tackle these crimes.
That actually was my bill last year. It didn't make it. So I'm back. Obviously, this is an issue that requires some attention.
Senator Crider's 2017 ICAC funding bill did not gain enough support in committee and ultimately did not pass. This was Crider's second attempt at securing ICAC funding before the Indiana Senate.
Carroll County girls have gone missing near the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi.
We want to give you another good look at what these two girls look like. Both of them are 13 years old. They're both 5.
After nearly a day of searching, a small town community's hope turns to heartbreak.
In the hours following the girls' disappearance, agents from the FBI and the ICAC task force began extracting and examining digital forensics from the girls' social media and electronic devices. Agents identified an Anthony Schatz profile on Liberty's friends list as a likely fraudulent or phishing profile. While the account had attempted to contact Liberty on at least one occasion, it was quickly determined that Liberty had not shared personal information or communicated regularly with the profile. Agents found no evidence of a prearranged meeting and nothing to suggest that either girl had been lured to the trail that day. While investigators quickly ruled out the possibility of an internet crime in the Delphi case, digital forensics from Liberty's social media accounts led them to the fraudulent social media profile. And so, a secondary investigation into the Anthony Schatz profile began.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, it's an honor to be with you again. I bring Senate Bill 68 to try to address a really a growing problem we have in the state. We've got a huge problem with crimes against our children, particularly crimes that are perpetrated via the internet.
Senator Crider's 2018 ICAC funding bill would designate $2 million annually to the Indiana State Police ICAC unit, 50% of which could go to local law enforcement agencies working and cooperating with the Indiana State Police ICAC Task Force.
The Internet Crimes Against Children unit, a group within the state police, they were instrumental in working on some of the evidence of the Delphi murder case. My goal is to try to get some resources for that group. They have depended for the last several years on Department of Justice grant funding, and as all grants do, their funding is reducing to the point where they're having a real challenge. My goal is to eventually, this is my third try, but my goal is to eventually get these folks the resources they need. Within this bill, there's opportunity for that grant money, or the money that's appropriated, to be 50% of it extended out to local police units that cooperate in the Internet Crimes Protocol.
In this 2018 appeal, Crider states that ICAC was instrumental in working on some of the evidence in the Delphi murders case. Why would ICAC agents be helping with evidence in the Delphi murders case if it was not an internet-based crime?
Pulled from Libby German's cell phone came from a specialized police team in Indiana. It's Computer Crimes Against Children Task Force.
It's the picture and the audio recording that's been seen around the country. Pulled off Libby German's cell phone by this team. The team has been a major player in thousands of Indiana investigations each year. But they don't just do child pornography. They've played a big role in the investigation into the Brian kill threats in Plainfield and the 2 teens murdered in Delphi.
Essentially, the idea is to try to recover the most useful evidence from the most likely places as quickly as possible.
The unit typically investigates child pornography or child seduction crimes, but it's not all the investigators do.
Investigators can provide specialized technical assistance in a wide variety of investigations.
And they did just that in Delphi, using their expertise to get the video off Libby's phone.
Oftentimes, it's going to be a single video, a single image that provides a crucial piece of evidence.
It's this team and this specialized truck that allows the investigators the technology to dig and deliver details someone may not want exposed.
While the Indiana State Police struggled to secure state-level financial support for ICAC, their Department of Justice funding more than tripled after the Delphi murders.
Dire need to fund a specialized statewide police unit that has played a key role in the Delphi investigation, the arrest of Jared Fogle, and other major crimes across our state.
The elite Computer Crimes Against Children unit has received no regular state funding, and now it's running out of money.
The unit has relied on federal funding over the past 10 years, but that money is drying up. And the number of cases, though, the unit is investigating continues to rise, and the future of the unit is now a major concern. That unit gets no state funding. They lived off some one-time federal and state grants. There have been bills introduced at the State House to fund the unit over the past few years, but each one has died in committee. The state's attorney general says not funding the unit has major consequences. So what happens if that funding doesn't get passed? Senator Crider says the unit will start having to pick and choose which cases they investigate and which cases they don't, which is a major concern. We'll continue tracking this bill as it moves through the State House.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If this topic sounds vaguely familiar to you, it's because this is the 4th year in a row I've brought this bill, and I guess I'd like to discuss for a minute why. If I was concerned about this issue 4 years ago, I'm even more concerned today. The request for investigations received by the state police have increased by about 38%, and for several years the state police has received Department of Justice funding, grant funding to use themselves, and they're required by that grant to pass at least 20% of that grant over to local law enforcement agencies. Would provide a level of funding to the state police, but also allow them to pass that money to local law enforcement agencies. I can't think of another way to help those law enforcement agencies receive additional funding. If you look back to the page that shows the ISP's cost, unfortunately, the equipment required for these investigators is expensive also. The skills and expertise that these folks billed during the investigations like child pornography or child sex trafficking are really valuable in other investigations also. You'll hear internet crimes against children mentioned on cases like the Delphi murders. Those folks have the opportunity and the skill set to do the forensics work that's required to build these cases. It's a challenge anytime you ask for new money. It's not that I'm dense and I don't get the message, and this is my fourth try. It's that I think that this is an important thing.
On your state police costs, you say there are currently 10 ISP examiners with a backlog.
The data suggests that the state police could actually use the entire $2 million without, that's the need. Okay. That's the amount of need. There's an equal amount of need that exists within the local agencies, and only about 14 of them are actually funded. This is not the state police's bill, and so that doesn't work that way.
I think what you're telling us is that we're way beyond that now, and that the scope of things has increased so much that if we don't do something and fund something, we're going to allow these types of crimes to continue and proliferate in Indiana, and we're already behind. Is that the vibe that I'm getting?
Absolutely the situation.
I was trying to figure out whether the $2 million should just go to the state police to run this program, or whether we actually need to do local grants to locals to do this program.
I've been working on this for 4 years. I can't think of a way for me to ask for state funding that actually passes through and goes directly to local sheriff's department or police department. And so you have to start somewhere.
So we have an amended bill, so call the roll.
Lawmakers are giving their support to putting more state money to fight internet predators.
The money would specifically help police track down criminals who target children.
$2 million. That's what Indiana lawmakers like Senator Michael Crider says is going to take to keep our children safe from online crime. And a panel of lawmakers are tending to agree with them. He wants $1 million to give to Indiana State Police for training and equipment, and the other $1 million in grants for different agencies across the state to look into these crimes in their individual areas. Now, Crider says he's concerned that while more of these crimes are happening, there's less money available to help investigators. He believes now is the time to get more aggressive about change.
I'm hoping that everyone from the children that are victims to the people who are doing the sex trafficking will realize that we're trying to do what we can to address this problem.
Now, this is Crider's fourth year trying to get this bill passed, but he's feeling good about his chances this time around, and for a good reason, because the panel did pass this bill 11-0, and now we'll wait to see what happens when it goes to the Senate floor.
Chair hands down. Committee report.
Mr. Speaker, Committee on Veteran Affairs and Public Safety, to which was referred Senate Bill 3, has had the same under consideration.
For the committee report, all in favor indicate by voting aye. Opposed, no. Committee report's adopted. Pursuant to Rule 127, Chair recommits the bill to Ways and Means.
Crider's ICAC funding bill was finally passed in 2019. In 2021, the Internet Crimes Against Children Fund was added to the Indiana Code, ensuring ongoing funding for the Indiana State Police ICAC unit in the amount of $2 million each year.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of the Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, abbyandlibbytip@cacoshrf.com. Thank you.
Indiana State Police have been looking for the person who created the fake social media account, Anthony Schatz. The person tied to that account is in custody in a child pornography case ISP was already investigating. Heavily redacted court documents show no mention of the Delphi murders or any information linking the suspect to the case.
As we've been telling you, police asked for help identifying a man who created the Anthony Schatz social media account. Today, we've learned that the investigation into that profile is a, quote, secondary investigation that came out of the search for Abby and Libby's killer.
Troopers are asking you to call this tip line, all the information, you see it on your screen. This is different from the line they've been sharing since the beginning.
I was hoping to get more details on that
but this is all the superintendent would say.
It generated a tremendous amount of interest, and the leads that we've received have been very helpful.
State Police also acknowledged today that a secondary investigation from information received during the Delphi investigation led them to Klein. There's still a lot we here at 13 News don't know about this investigation, and we need to be clear, police have never said Klein is a person of interest in the Delphi murders investigation.
We gleaned a tremendous amount of very positive information, and we're continuing to run those tips down.
Police identified the man behind that online account as Keegan Klein, but now, months later, they haven't named him as a suspect or a person of interest in the Delphi murders. Now, we do know police searched his home 11 days after the two girls were found dead, and he was later charged with 30 felony counts, including child pornography possession and child exploitation. All of those charges unrelated to the Delphi case.
I asked State Police if this is the man they're looking for in the Delphi case, if they want to talk with him, or if they have. This is important. Here's what they said. A spokesperson told me Indiana State Police do not confirm or deny anyone who is or is not a suspect in any ongoing investigation. At this time, we are looking for any information about the Anthony Schatz profile and anyone who may have had contact with that profile. The case that you are referring to, that I mentioned, they told me is a separate child pornography case.
Indiana is fighting an uphill battle against internet crimes perpetrated against children. Senator Crider is one of many advocating for the safety and protection of children in Indiana. The importance of this work cannot be overstated. But is law enforcement using the notoriety and interest of the Delphi murder investigation to help gain critical resources and support their fight against internet predators? If the Indiana State Police and Carroll County Sheriff's Department are misleading the public, but are doing so in the name of rescuing and protecting children, is it justified?